Good morning and welcome to Morning Movie News. Now you might have noticed that videos aren't quite going up on time recently or at all. Yesterday there was no morning movie news. Is it the apocalypse? Close. It's San Diego Comic-Con, which is just a huge mega event. If you haven't heard of it, but I'm sure most of you have. And you also might have heard that I'll be covering it on location. I'm flying out to San Diego next week, and basically getting ready for it is just like a huge ton of work. I'm trying to book you and book amazing coverage to really bring you the best parts of the convention. So that is requiring a lot of time and preparation. So I'm very sorry that things have been a little bit askew, but I think it'll pay off next week when you see the kind of content that gets uploaded. So keep an eye on this on Beyond the Trailer, and also keep an eye on both channels for I'm trying to get you the most amazing San Diego Comic-Con coverage I can. Tomorrow I will have that preview of what's going to be at Comic-Con for movies, sometime tomorrow. I was planning on doing it for Morning Movie News, but I think it's more likely it's going to go up later in the day. But it'll be up there because it's going to be intense. I'm really going to go into depth for you, and so it'll be something you guys have all weekend to watch and kind of get an idea of what's going to be coming out at Comic-Con. So let's get to today's stories. The first is that, well, 2 years ago, Disney has a D23 convention, which is like their own Comic-Con. And last time they had it, in an effort to kind of get people to go to that convention, they didn't have really anything at Comic-Con because the D23 Expo is the first weekend of August pretty much, or the second weekend of August, like August 8th or 9th through the 11th. So there was no Marvel or anything at Comic-Con, and people were kind of annoyed because Comic-Con is a pilgrimage for so many people, but it's also an expensive pilgrimage. So I think that it's interesting that this year Disney has decided not to do that, and they are having at least a Marvel panel at Comic-Con, and I also heard they might have some animation news. But they are still saving something for D23, and they're saving a big one, because the news was revealed that they are going to debut their plans for Star Wars at D23. Everything Star Wars. What are their plans? What are they thinking of doing? We're going to get some concrete answers. So I guess they don't really need to hold anything else, because that is huge news in and of itself. So keep an eye out for news, and I'll certainly be covering it. Of what's going on at D23 in Anaheim in August 9th through 11th. And if you live in that area, if you live in the Anaheim area, perhaps you might want to I think tickets are still available, perhaps you might want to buy a pass. It's a pretty good convention. I was at their very first one, and if you're a Disney fan, it's an amazing convention. They have not only stuff about the movies, but also the theme parks, television shows, basically everything Disney. And they have some nice, I really noticed that they had like some charity efforts when I was there as well. Like they had like a convention attendees could pack a lunch for needy children. And you got to put it together and put like a toy in there and all the nice food, and it was really a nice thing to do. And you were able to pack so many bags so quickly because there are so many attendees. So I thought that was a nice touch. All right, so that's the first story. Keep an eye on D23 for Star Wars news. All right, second story of the day. Let's talk about the Cap Shield. Well, actually two. Let's talk about two big comic book reveals that came out. The Cap Shield, which is like the teaser poster for the Captain America 2 movie, The Winter Soldier, and also the view of Electro. We got our first look at Electro on the cover of Entertainment Weekly. They have several Comic-Con covers, and the main one is for The Amazing Spider-Man. By the way, I thought the cooler photo was inside with Dane DeHaan as Harry Osborn. He looks like a little baby Stanley Tucci with his horn-rimmed glasses and everything, and his three-piece suit or whatever he was wearing. I thought that was very funny. I thought that was a very strong character choice in terms of fashion, and you might have seen my video talking about character fashion in movies, and for instance that Jamie Foxx has his own personal stylist who helps him out with his look. A lot of you have written that you don't think that Electro looks like he has like electricity, and he looks more like water-based. And when I say that, it occurs to me that he kind of does look like a jellyfish, and a jellyfish will sting you, but still, despite that, they still don't really have a menacing reputation. Despite the fact that they can really hurt you, people still aren't that scared of jellyfish because they're so beautiful. So I think I don't know. I would have preferred the more like live wire look, like living energy, or perhaps the way they did Electro in the Ultimate Comics, the Ultimate Spider-Man comics, where he's similar to that. But that would have, I guess, required Jamie Foxx to be an entirely CGI character. And maybe he was like, I would like to do some acting, please. But I mean, Mark Ruffalo did not suffer at all from being largely a CGI character in the Avengers 2. So, I mean, yeah, he looks very pretty. You want to like touch him. with his, like his crazy jellyfish head. But again, I wouldn't exactly be like, oh no, I think you probably would run toward Electro, then away, at least initially. So, but we'll see how he looks when he has his powers in effect. So the Cap shield. Obviously, the most interesting thing here is that these colors don't run, but they apparently chip, because all the colors are basically chipped off of Cap's shield, and it's just like Wakandan steel, or I guess UN steel. He has no affiliation. I think that's a very powerful, very, very powerful visual idea, and very symbolic. I hope I hope the movie's that deep. That would be impressive. And people have always said, well, Captain America is going to be a tough sell around the world because, hey, the world isn't America. And a lot of times, I was talking about those Iraqi filmmakers and stuff, and people feel, oh, there's propaganda. America isn't the only place that can save the world. But Cap is Captain America. He is an American soldier at a time when America, to a large extent, did save the world during World War II. So I hope that is brought up and explored, that kind of, the difference between the way patriotism was viewed when Cap was, first alive, and then now that he has been brought into modern times. So I think that's interesting. I hope I hope off camera from the teaser poster, Cap is getting his paints back out to fix it. Because, I think there's nothing wrong with being patriotic for your country. And Captain America often teams up with heroes from other countries, and I think that's a good way to fix that. But I would hate to see Captain America decide that he's not into America anymore. I just don't think it works. Because he's called Captain America. Okay, so the third story. Despite being laughed off the screen almost for Battleship, Hasbro is not giving up, and they're teaming up with Legendary Pictures, who just moved to NBC Universal. Huge news because Legendary produces the DC movies. Not anymore because they're now over at NBC Universal. They officially moved over this week. But the interesting thing is that they're going to make a Hot Wheels movie, and they're currently out looking for a director. And they said it's going to be, not like a racing movie, but more like Fast and Furious meets Mission Impossible. So I guess there'll be spy cars. I don't know. I think Transformers has really dominated the car market. I'm going to be putting up a review later today for Turbo, which I think really has some amazing aspects in terms of being a racing film. So I don't know how you can do it better than those two franchises. Well, Turbo might be a franchise, but I don't know how you can do it better than those franchises. So, but we'll see. But they're so successful, at least Fast and Furious, I really can't blame Legendary for wanting to try. So those are the three stories of the day. And also on Tuesday, I had said, oh, wouldn't it be great if there was a Halo TV series? And a lot of you pointed out that they've already announced that, and Steven Spielberg is involved. And you were like, how could you miss that, Grace? But my favorite comment was someone said, when you realize that Grace is not a gamer. And it's true, I'm not a gamer. I am into movies, television, comic books. I follow the news, I follow a lot of different areas, but video games and music are two big blank spots when it comes to, covering knowledge for me. But I will say that I'm pretty on the ball when it comes to looking at entertainment news. So the fact that this announcement for the Halo TV series did make a bigger splash means that while it's great that Microsoft is hiring employees for their Xbox entertainment studios, they might want to consider hiring some better PR people, because that kind of news should have made a much bigger splash, especially with considering how well Netflix is doing with their original programming. So maybe they don't want to peak too early, maybe they just want to get the gaming community excited about it, but the fact that that news hasn't crossed over, I think makes me a little nervous for Xbox One in terms of, getting that bigger audience and when they need to. But you know what? The gaming audience is huge, as evidenced by how many of you are gamers, so maybe they don't need anybody but the gaming audience. But I always feel you should go for as big an audience as you can get, because you should never take any eyeballs for granted, so you never know how it's going to shake down. So that's today's morning movie news. I want to thank everyone for their patience during this period. It's going to be rough through the end of July, because I'm heading up to Los Angeles. I'm going to try and do some stuff when I'm over there after Comic-Con. So, but I'm going to be trying. Morning movie news will potentially be going up while I'm in Comic-Con, but it will not be going up the week after. I believe that's like the 22nd through the 26th of July. So, but just keep your eyes on this space, because there will be Comic-Con coverage going up during that whole period, and as cool stuff as I can get you. So, thank you for watching. Again, thank you for your patience, and right down below, anything you could. Morning movie news will run on Monday and Tuesday of next week. So write down anything that you'd like to see covered there. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.